What's up everyone? Today I have a different type of video, more of a reflection on what I've been doing for the past 8 years, which was the work life after I finished university. And I wanted to basically reflect on what's been going on in the life of an entrepreneur, investor, and also a full-time employee, and share with you my learnings, the outcomes, successes, and failures. So hopefully one day my children will watch this video and understand that there have been harder times and also very good times. So basically have a look into what I've been up to and what it took to get to the level that I'm currently at. I'm not saying this is the highest level or lowest, but it's just a level, and for some this is a good one, and personally I also believe so. So that's exactly why I'm doing this video. So as an intro about me, I have been studying business management at the University of Manchester, and then did my master's degree at the London School of Economics, LSE, also in management economics. And I started my career working in Shell, Shell's Department of Trading and Supply Chain, and very quickly moved on to work into the digital ventures, where I led a startup. And after that, I've been working mainly in fintech for the past 8 years. I've been around financial technology and have done all kinds of roles, from UX, UI researcher, business analyst, Scrum Master, project manager, product manager, but mainly specialized as a product manager. And in my last few roles, if you can call them so, because some of them have been full-time, some of them contracting, I've been mainly a CPO, which is a Chief Product Officer, so I was leading the product for the startups that I was working with. Some of you may know me from the video that I've posted around 4 years ago now, that I moved to Bali, which was the crucial part in my life when I decided that I want to actually become an entrepreneur. And I quit my job and my life in London and moved to first Moldova and then Bali. And since then, I have been hustling as both an entrepreneur, investor, and full-time employee at times. And that's exactly what I'm going to talk about today, because I'm sure there are many of you who are trying to do this currently, and you may find this information very relevant and hopefully helpful. First of all, to touch on the aspect of a immigrant life, which is what I had and still am having, since I'm originally from Moldova, but I'm living in Dubai now. However, I personally feel like I've lived a couple lives already, because I've moved to the UK when I was just 16 and then traveled around as well. So I lived in China for a month, I lived in India for a month during my university time. And then I also moved back to Moldova for a few months, then for a few years after and during the COVID period before moving to Dubai. And also, you know that I've lived in Bali as well. So I've really experienced a couple of lives, in my opinion, and I definitely feel like I have a pretty vast experience that I can now apply to basically achieve my results much quicker than I believed so in the past. What's it like to live this life of an immigrant? I won't complain, because it has its upsides and obviously its downsides, to be far away from home, from friends, to basically sacrifice a lot of things to be able to get to that level or stage in life that you want to. So definitely it hasn't been the easiest one, and I truly respect and applaud everyone who's taking this path, because I experienced it on myself, and I know that it's quite difficult and quite lonely at times. But if you try to understand what's it for and basically understand where you're going with it, then it's definitely worth it. Changing apartments from one place to another, from different hard, difficult landlords to agencies, overpaying for all this moving and so on. It's such a big hassle, but yeah, that's the downside that you have to face as an immigrant, as a traveler in a way, when you want to experience different countries and territories to basically understand where you feel most welcomed. And it's not that in my home country I'm not welcomed, I am, but I just believe that there are not enough opportunities for me to develop as a personality that I want to become in the future there, which is why I wanted to also move around and see whether there is another place which I can call my second home and mix it up between Moldova and this place. So doing this life is obviously for someone who is very hungry and wants to achieve that success in my own ways, and you might call it differently, but what is success and what are the upsides and downsides of it as an immigrant throughout this period is something that I also want to focus on, because that's very important, and I think that can impact all aspects of your life. Goal setting and all kind of failures can come into play, which is also very important. So let me tell you about this. The actual cost of success is the sacrifice and loneliness that you will have throughout this path. Because at the beginning you might not feel it as much because you are surrounded by those people who you have been with for most part of your life, and they're all more or less the same. No one's really having different major changes, and that's exactly when you might start feeling that there are some changes, when you experience that slight success, as you might get a bit lonely. You will have to be, because you might not want to tell many people about this at the beginning, and then you might reach that level where it's actually impossible to not talk about it and not compare yourself to the people around you. And it's not because you want to, it's just because that you might have means that even without wanting to show them, they will be seen and will be felt by the people around you. And that's exactly when you start becoming a bit lonelier and a bit more isolated, because you don't want to make someone feel bad about this, but you also don't want to make yourself feel bad and not be able to talk about it. So you're basically stuck between this kind of level where you can't be with one group of friends, but you also can't really be with the second group of friends, because the other people that you might look up to are probably at a much higher level, and you can't really reach it yet. So by this, I'm not saying that you have to drop on your current friends, but I'm just saying that this might happen. Which is why I believe that one of the biggest sacrifices of development and achieving that success level is actually being lonely and losing some of your friends. And I'm not saying this because I've recently went through this or something. I've actually had very good relationships with my closest group of friends, but that's exactly why I emphasized on it, because the closer group I got is just because of all these consequences. And I used to have a much wider group of friends from different territories and so on, but with the time that you develop and you grow and you achieve more successes, you actually want to limit your circle, and is just happening. So I couldn't really deal with it. It's simply just happening. That's why you end up having just a very small circle of friends where you know that there is trust and you don't need to be thinking twice about saying something. Everyone's more or less on the same level and understanding you. With development, you might also start making decisions that are less ordinary. So that's also another reason that will limit your circle of friends and people around you, and you will definitely become more isolated because there are different things that you might not be thinking at the beginning but could influence your social circle. For example, in my case, I became vegetarian for a year and so about 3 years ago, and then I slightly moved into being a pescatarian because I didn't want to eat meat, but I also couldn't really be around all the people who are always eating meat or fish and so on. So I told myself that okay, I'll take out the meat but just leave everything else. And that also limits your circle because now I can't really go out with those people who are only meat lovers and they would go for barbecue and so on, because I'll just feel weird. They will feel weird as well, and basically the social connection wouldn't happen. And that's how you start again limiting your circle. One other thing, for example, is that I want to stop completely drinking alcohol, and I'm not saying that I'm actually doing it often. It's very, very little at this minute because, first of all, we live in Dubai where this is not a common thing. You need to go to specialized, licensed alcohol places to get it. So I don't really bother much. The weather is really nice. It's more about sport and getting into that lifestyle, being more active. So I don't consume it as much here, only on very rare occasions. But if I go back or I travel with my friends specifically, then I can see the consumption increasing by a lot. And that's again one thing that is super hard to limit, as you understand that if you want to develop and grow, you want to take out all these bad things and influences, but if you take them out, you might also lose some parts of your social circle. On the other side, another thing that is quite a downside, but I also want to reflect on and discuss with you. And if you feel the same or you have some thoughts on this, please leave a comment below and let me know. I will discuss it more in the next videos. Maybe I'll make a series on this and we can engage more on this topic. But yeah, another thing is making mistakes along the way and losing shit ton of money with this. That unfortunately is a normal thing that you will go through if you want to get to some kind of a success level that you set yourself to. And unfortunately that happens and should happen very often, because if you're not trying things, then you will definitely not reach that level that you have in mind. So you will be more of a entrepreneur rather than an actual entrepreneur or a doer. So basically you have to take some risks, and I've done this many times. I've lost a lot of money with trying different investments, different schemes, real estate, crypto, anything you might think of. And I just realized now that I'm 30, that all this has been a really good experience, and that now I can actually build that wealth, which is one of the success factors for me, much quicker and without so many mistakes and risks, at least at this moment that I feel there are high risks than it used to be before. So it's not really about rushing into getting it quicker, and I'm still trying to say this because I want to motivate me to understand that this is the thing and this is how it works, because currently I am pretty sure that I can multiply and even quadruple and more all that I've done much and way quicker than I used to do for the past 8 years. The $1 million goal by 30. That's another separate topic that I want to touch on, because that has been something like a benchmark of myself and the people around me, and I knew that basically somewhere back in my mind that by 30 I need to make my first million, which unfortunately didn't happen. So you might think it did throughout my other videos. I am very close, but it's not yet there. So that's another thing that I wanted to talk about because it's definitely been in the back of my head, and I'm overthinking about it a lot, but it's something that I think I should just get comfortable with because, again, if we get back to the thing that I mentioned a few seconds earlier, um, now I can multiply it much quicker and I can see this happening. So I'm pretty sure that by the end of this year I will become one, which is probably still going to be my 30. Um, I'm going to be in my 30th. Um, but again, it's something that I thought by 30 I will already have, and it didn't happen. So when my birthday was a month ago, I was a bit disappointed. Basically, I was and still am very hard on myself regarding this topic, and I am trying not to be, but I wanted to share about this because I'm pretty sure many of you actually have this thought in mind, and you might also be hard on you. And let me know how you feel about it because I'm actually really trying to work on this and understand that it's not really a rush game, it's more of a long-term thing, and I need to basically build up on the foundation that I've built for the past few years, and that is definitely going to be quicker, more effective and efficient when I do it now rather than when I just started. So was it all worth it? That's a question that I'm also asking myself lately specifically because I've been hustling for 8 years, doing all kinds of things, starting companies, moving countries, working full time, changing jobs, investing in property, which is something that I'm definitely taking very seriously now, and I'm building my future companies based on this. However, I'm still not feeling like all this hard work and hustle has paid off, which I'm pretty sure I'm wrong about it because, again, I think I'm just too hard on me, and I'm pretty sure many people are similar to me in this aspect. But I'm just saying that I actually am starting to understand that it was all worth it. It was necessary actually to 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 do this, to get to this level, because without this you wouldn't look back and enjoy every story about it, every thing, material thing even, that you own. You wouldn't celebrate it like I currently do. You wouldn't look back and say that there have been this kind of times to get me to this point. You wouldn't count money when you're going somewhere and you want to buy something stupid and you know that maybe it's not worth doing it. Yes, you probably wouldn't do many things if that would come easier to you. There are many things that you will go through as an entrepreneur or even full-time employee balancing entrepreneurship or self-employment. And specifically, if you're traveling around, you're moving countries, and also speaking not in your own language, because English is just my third language after Romanian and Russian, which again shows a sign of really real dedication and commitment to achieving these successes. And I know nowadays this is not a major thing because English is the most spoken language out there and everyone has to know it very well to be successful, but it's still one thing that at the beginning might play a significant and hard role in your life. Nevertheless, I just wanted to say trust the process because that's actually what has been the most enjoyable out of it, the journey. And although it sounds very cliche that the journey is the destination and so on, it's actually true. So just make sure that you make it as much enjoyable as possible and don't say no to the things that you want. Even spending money on some stupid things that you always wanted and you got a pay rise or you had a cool deal or your investments were doing great, just go for it, do it because the journey is the most important thing. And I do hope that you agree with this. And if not, again, please leave your comments below. I'm really interested to see what are your thoughts on this topic. And hopefully you found this video interesting, and I'll see you in the next one.